Hey, Ronnie Dale, fourwheelingwesternaustralia.com, and welcome to another episode of Modified. This time, a Y62 Petrol. So let's get the owner in. Daniel, step in, mate. How are you, mate?
G'day, Ronnie. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate.
Excellent.
You've been on a few tag-alongs with us, so
I have.
I know Daniel. And so Daniel, do you want to tell us about this vehicle, make, model, and what it's set up for?
Sure. It's a 2013 build Y62 Nissan Petrol, and it is. I purchased it brand new in 2015, and I've set it up primarily for touring. I'm not as interested in the hardcore off-roading, but I've got a young family and we prefer to tour.
Okay, so
Yep.
you understand you tow caravans and...
Yeah, I've got a custom-built motorcycle trailer, a caravan, and a dinghy on a trailer as well, and so I do a fair bit of towing with that, depending on what sort of holiday we're on.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like you get into a lot of different aspects of outdoors then.
Time permitting as much as possible, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon we waste no time and get into it, but there's one thing I just want to know. Is this a manual or an automatic?
This is an automatic. It's got a 7-speed auto.
7-speed auto, and the size of the motor?
It's a 5.6 litre Nissan V8 Petrol, and it's a direct injected model.
Barwork, bash plates, side rails, all that stuff, and a roof rack. We'll start with the Barwork. What do we got here, mate?
It's an opposite lock steel bar, something that I fitted myself. My dad gave me a hand. We did it over a weekend. It was an upgrade a long time coming, but I'm glad it's on now. I was having a bit of look online and didn't like the look of a lot of bars for this model of vehicle. When I came across the opposite lock bar, I thought it looked kind of the best in my opinion, so I went for that eventually.
Winch compatible, I see.
Yep, it's got a winch. It's a Runver 13,000 pound winch. It's yet to be actually used off-road. I've had to play with it at home. It's more of an insurance policy than anything else. Being a Nissan, those with a sharp eye, I like to have the old Datsun badge on there, just if people notice and comment, it's
nice.
A starter point for the conversation.
I like the style of connection rather than the Kelvin hook.
This is the unit that came with the winch.
Oh, this came with the winch?
Came with the winch.
Oh, cool. Bash plates underneath.
There's just a mild bash plate that comes with the bull bar. Otherwise, the vehicle is about 90% complete. There's a few things I want to finish off with it. Underbody protection is one of those, and
okay.
I've recently found something online that I'm interested in, but for now I haven't needed to use any underbody protection. So
I noticed there's no recovery points, so you're still using the factory one. But
yeah,
have you found any, or?
I haven't, no. That's another project to come for the vehicle as well, recovery points. But touch wood, so far I haven't needed to use any anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a bit of a challenge with like the newer sort of model vehicles, especially the Y62. There's not a lot of stuff for them. So was it limited to find stuff as well? Like...
It has been a little bit limited. I bought the vehicle brand new in 2015, and it's taken 2 or 3 years since then to get everything together slow and steady. Like you say, availability is not always as much as other Toyotas and other comparables.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. I guess the advantage there is you actually then think about a lot more what you're going to put on it. I see you kept the sensors as well. That's pretty cool.
Yep, yeah, there's factory sensors that are in the bumper bar, and this bull bar has the facility to keep those.
They still work all right being in a bull bar?
They work perfectly fine. Yeah, you can park right up within an inch of the garage door.
Yeah.
They're the factory side steps that come with the car.
There's something you're going to look at, or?
It's something I'm interested in upgrading. For now, I'm happy to bash these up as I do. It's quite a wide vehicle, so I have opted not to get the
brush bars.
Brush bars yet either.
You haven't got a rear bar, you carried a spare on the roof. Is there a reason for that?
The main reason is that I'm a bit conscious about the weight of the vehicle. Like you said earlier, I tow caravan, and that's quite a heavy tow ball weight. I didn't really want yet the added weight of all the extra bar work on the back.
Yep.
And for that reason I keep the spare on the roof rack, and there's also a second spare in the factory position underneath the rear bumper.
I'm glad you brought that fact up, because a lot of people just bolt heaps of stuff to the car or the vehicle, and then all of a sudden they're super heavy.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to do to a wagon because there's not many places you can put things.
Space is a priority in a wagon.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I bought this vehicle over a ute was that we wanted to have at least 6 seats. And so this has got 8 seats.
Roof rack, an essential thing for a wagon.
Absolutely.
Right?
Space being a premium, you've got to put the extra stuff somewhere. And yeah, roof rack is more or less the only option in my point of view.
This is an open-ended rack?
I just like the look of the tradie style of rack. I'm not really that keen on the full wraparound. So I went for a Rhino rack tradie rack. It's aluminium, so it's relatively light, again being a bit weight conscious.
For people that are watching, if you're looking at roof racks, get a roof rack that's like a tradie rack, that's open-ended, because you've got, you know, space to put stuff front, back, overhang,
Yes.
and you can tie it to the rails on the side. Because if a closed rack, you can't put long stuff on it. And a flat rack, I don't see the point of a flat rack. A lot of people don't mount enough stuff on a flat rack because there's nothing to stop it.
Yeah, I like the extra security of the sidebars, definitely, but the easier accessibility of the front to back. A tradie rack for me is ideal.
Your max tracks are kind of underneath your solar panel. Is this pretty quick to sort of swing off?
Relatively, yeah. Again, just space being a bit of a premium. I was running out of space on the rack, so the max tracks live under the solar panel. I've made these brackets which have a wing nut for the mounting point, and there's an extra hole that's drilled in the bracket. You can lift the whole solar panel up higher, and then you can access the max tracks out the side, being space conscious.
How many watts is the panel?
It's a 100 watt panel, and I use it just to charge the vehicle as a whole. I've got 4 batteries in the truck, and it just charges everything all together.
4 batteries? Wow, okay. We'll get onto your batteries a bit later. What are you carrying in this cargo case up here?
Cargo case is mainly for less frequently used stuff. So I carry in there a chainsaw. I've got a spare air compressor in case my main one gives up, and all the other spares, fluids and bearings, that sort of stuff for the vehicle, should anything go wrong.
Okay, so you've got like the essential things.
The essential things, yep.
Spare tyre on the roof, like we already talked about with the rear bar, so we pretty much covered that. Can you notice the difference if you take it off the roof?
Moderate, yep.
Moderate?
Sometimes when I'm off-road and my brothers and my dad are riding on their motorcycles, I've got to load the roof rack more with all of their riding gear and camping gear. And with that extra weight, then I do notice a bit of a difference, mainly the side-to-side movement.
Okay.
But as it is, it's not too bad.
Okay, oh, that's good to know. Awning on the other side, how big is that awning?
It's a Foxwing, it's the full 270 awning.
270 awning.
Yep, comes right round to the back. I had to be particular about the positioning of it. The rear door in this vehicle opens up fully from the roof line, and I had to make sure it was positioned okay so you could get full opening of the door.
We'll start with your bar lights then. So what are these?
They're just an inexpensive set of King's 7-inch spot LEDs, and they're rated at 10,000 lumens, but they do quite a good job.
Flood or?
Spotlights.
That one up there?
This is a 40-inch single row steady LED light bar, and it's got a combination of spot and spread.
Oh, so the edges are spread, the middle's pencil beam.
Yep. I don't notice a huge difference between the two lights, given their positioning on the vehicle as well. They seem to do about the equivalent amount of spread and the equivalent amount of spot.
Okay.
You can use one or the other at a time. I've got them on separate switches, but when you turn them both on all together, it produces ample amount of light.
Communication?
6.5 dB, and it goes to an 80-channel Uniden CB radio on the inside.
Tyres and lift, and we're starting with tyres. Now I have had this exact set of tyres, well not the same size, but
Same tread.
same tread, and they were pretty good on sand. What do you think of them?
Excellent. Actually, all around, pretty excellent. Rocks, sand, mud. I've had a good run with these set of tyres.
Did you find you slipped around a bit in the mud or with these?
A little, not too bad. Maybe if I was a bit overzealous on the accelerator, you'd get a bit slippery.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they hooked up quite good.
They're a very unusual size. What was it 275 70 R18?
18.
So 18-inch rims. You find that's enough rubber?
Yeah, so far so good. The vehicle comes factory with an 18-inch alloy wheel. I had heard of some guys with the same vehicle going down to a 17-inch. Although the rim was extremely close to the brake caliper.
Yeah.
For safety reasons, I've opted to go for the same diameter rim. When I walked into the shop to get a set of tyres, they had a set of 6 of these on the floor ready to go, which is why I picked them up.
You had these for a while, I take, because these were on for the Holland track last year, weren't they?
Yeah, I've done about 30,000 Ks on these tyres.
Oh, really?
And so
That's
far
pretty
so
good.
good. I'm quite happy with. I'm regular with rotating them,
Okay.
and I think that helps.
That explains a lot. Yeah, that explains a lot actually.
Yeah, and also when you've got 6 tyres to rotate around, that obviously helps with tread wear as well.
So that's a good tip there. If you rotate your tyres, a lot of us are a bit too lazy to do it. I'm getting a bit lazy these days. You rotate your tyres, you get more out of them. So these are 33. That's kind of equates to about 33 inches, right?
More or less 33-inch tyre.
And they fit on from a 2-inch lift?
Yep, easy.
Did you have to change the offset on the rim at all?
No, it's all completely factory as it was.
Okay, but these aren't factory rims though, are they?
No, there's an aftermarket wheel.
But it's the same offset?
Same offset, same diameter. I just like the black wheel better than the factory ones.
That's good to know. 33 fits straight on the vehicle.
For reference, I have seen gentlemen with the same vehicle and they run a 35-inch tyre with a factory suspension.
Really? Awesome. Do they scrape at all?
Don't know.
Not sure?
Don't know.
Okay.
Yep.
Go into your lift then. We'll start with the front. What are you on, 2 inches?
1.5 inches at the front is what it's worked out to be, and a 2-inch lift at the back. Springs and suspension at the back is one of the first modifications I did on this vehicle. Hence, they've got different set of springs. They're Tough Dog in the back and a King spring in the front. I left the fronts factory for about a year, and just with the weight carrying of the vehicle.
For the caravan, you just did the
I just did the rear end only. The handling was perfectly fine with the front standard suspension, but when I added the bull bar and the second battery, and I needed that extra lift, I went for the shocks all around and the different set of springs at the front.
When you load a caravan up to the back, how does it sit? Does it dip down a bit?
As it is at the moment, it drops less than 1/2 inch. Constant load 300 kilo spring, and so it only drops a tiny bit.
Independent front and rear suspension?
Yeah.
Handles pretty well, I've got to say.
Handles lovely. The ride is fantastic. One of the other things that really impresses me with this car is the good NVH levels, the noise, vibration, and harshness. And I heard that these tyres can be quite noisy on the road. Doesn't really bother me because the car's relatively quiet inside anyway.
I did actually find it's quite noisy.
Yeah.
For an all-terrain.
If you drive with the door, with the windows open, very noisy.
Yeah.
Shut the windows, it's quite nice.
Fair enough. Right, onto the power plant now. Onto this serious 5.6 litre
Petrol V8.
V8s. Now I know the guys in
North
the
America.
UAE, they love these. And I've heard so many good things about this motor for like getting performance and stuff out of it.
Yeah.
So have you done anything, or is it something you're looking at doing?
Definitely something I'm looking at doing. I tried to get it done before this weekend, but just time didn't fit. So in the near future, I will get this car on the dyno and get the computer tuned up. Again, one of the issues for this car, not as many of them have been modified, not as much custom work for them.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
A vehicle like a new one is always hard to get things
done.
Done, yeah.
At the time I had the snorkel done, there was nothing that I could find that was readily available, so I went for a custom-made snorkel. The gentleman that I approached said that I needed to get the airbox done at the same time because of the silicon tubes and the bits that join up for the air inlet. So I opted for both the snorkel and the airbox. From a distance it looks great. Unfortunately, after the first run off-road, the silicon tube before the airbox had rattled loose, and just because of limited amount of space to fit the thing back on, I had to pull the airbox out. When I did, I noticed that some of the work on the inner guard where they'd cut out the metal was not very good. They'd left a lot of sharp edges, a lot of bare metal. They hadn't radiused the corners either, so I had to go back to the workshop, get them to redo it.
Just looking at it too, a lot to advise you to maybe get a longer tube on here because there's not much clamping on.
Exactly.
Last thing you want is to go through a water crossing
And have it.
and then just have it come off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the end of the story, you know, even with the petrol.
Something I'm definitely considering getting the whole lot redone, snorkel and airbox, and get the airbox at a volume that's more like what the factory airbox was.
Yeah, the airbox looks quite small, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Well, how big's the factory airbox? Because there's a mount here.
Yeah, there's a mount there. It goes forward from where you are about another 2 inches.
All right, well, let's move on to more positive stuff.
Yep. Dual battery kit in the front. I quite enjoy doing my own 12-volt wiring, and there's been about 2 or 3 iterations of where it is now, and they are an Optima battery, and they run in parallel. A pair of deep cycle batteries in the back.
Run in parallel.
And they're in parallel also.
All right, so how many amp hours have we got here?
These Optimas are yellow tops, and they're 55 amp hour each.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're high cranking battery. You got 2 put together to get 100 amp hours, and this vehicle comes out with 1 or 2?
It comes out with 1 battery in this location, and then you can buy the kit and you relocate the computers, one at the side of the battery, one behind, and it's quite tight in there, but the other battery does fit.
And the back batteries, how many amp hours are they?
The rear batteries, there's a pair of them, they're 130 amp hour each.
130 amp hour each.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so 260 amp hours, and that solar panel powers the back ones or the
It
front?
powers the whole lot altogether.
DC charger here.
Yeah, that's the solenoid. It's a programmable one, and obviously when the front batteries are up to correct charge, then it'll start to send charge to the rear batteries.
Okay.
Yep. Winch isolation switch and the cabling for it comes off this battery underneath the bumper.
So just back on a custom work, if you had any advice to give anyone else with a Y62, what would you advise them?
Ideally, if you had custom work you wanted done, see if the workshop had done work on this model of vehicle first.
Yeah, that's probably the best advice you can give, really, isn't it? So there were two things I forgot to ask you with the engine bay. So exhaust, have you done that?
A 3-inch catback exhaust, just in mild steel. I just love the sound of V8s. That was the main reason for getting it.
Okay, mainly for the noise?
Yeah, especially when you have the window down.
I'm guilty of that.
I'm assuming it's going to make a bit of a difference down the track when I get the computer tuned up. So
a bit more breathing.
That was the reason too.
Even if it doesn't, it's a noise, right?
Yeah, it's still a win. Yep.
Okay, and fuel consumption. Let's just talk about that before we get into the back here. So what are you doing per 100?
Fuel consumption has obviously gone up quite a lot since I first bought the vehicle. On the highway, with fully loaded, I average about 17 to 18 litres per 100. When I'm around town, it's about 20. When I'm off-road, it ranges between 22 and 25 litres per 100. If I'm towing the caravan, it's about 3 tonnes. I get about 25.
That's not too bad.
It's
so it
manageable.
doesn't change much when you go towing. So it's obviously got all the pulling power there, but you're using, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm obviously, if I'm towing, I'm mindful of the economy and I'm not going to thrash it. Although if you're driving through the dunes on the beach all the time, the fuel consumption can go way up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And let's not forget it is a petrol.
Yep.
And it's a V8. 40 litres on the roof. How big's the tank?
The factory tank in this is 140 litres.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's been ample, which is one of the reasons I decided not to go for a separate auxiliary tank. And the 40 litres on the top is just as an emergency. So I get a range of, depending about 600 to 700 k's.
Okay.
Yep.
So 180, 600 k's out of that.
Yep.
And then you got that.
And then that on top.
That on top. Okay. All right. Let's get into the back.
Cool.
It's blowing a gale here, so hopefully the wind's not too noisy. All right, let's go through this. Is this a DIY setup?
Yeah, this is a custom-made plywood cabinet for the back of the full drive. There were a couple of others on the market. I wanted to maintain use of the 3rd row seat, so I went for a custom.
So you still got 3 row seats in there?
Still got the capacity for 8 seats.
Okay.
With this in the back.
Wow. Okay.
So this was a summer project for my dad and I, and we just used it as bare wood for a while just to see how it worked, and then I had it professionally covered with a carpet at an audio shop, and then I had the stainless steel work done at a fabrication shop.
Okay. Let's open this up.
So the whole thing folds out and opens up as a bench.
Oh wow. Just wrap this around here, eh?
A bit of sailing technique.
I'm not a sailor. That'll hold.
And it's just a nice workspace. I generally use this area here for my cookers. I've got a pair of them. They're just the inexpensive ones with the little gas canister.
Okay.
And I find if I have them positioned here, it's reasonably good with wind.
All right.
Fry pan sits in between, and then just to avoid the rattling of these when I'm driving down the corrugated road, I had an old towel that I whipped up on a sewing machine.
Oh yeah, and then you got some of the dry things with it as well.
Prevents all the rattles.
So before we go any further, folks, just keep in mind here, we're working with what, 400 mils?
Yeah.
About that?
Thereabouts. I think it was 370 is the dimension this way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Keep going.
There's enough room with the opening for the back and the window for a 50 litre Waco fridge.
So you've worked that into the window.
Yeah, so it fits into this cavity here. And then I've set this up on a tilt mechanism so you can still access into your fridge nice and easy.
Yeah, cool. All right. So what size fridge is this?
It's a 50 litre.
50 litre?
50 litre. And
you wouldn't think it by looking from the outside, would you?
no. and it's relatively easy access for that. I'm relatively tall, so it helps, but tilting the fridge helps.
Yep. Your partner's pretty tall too, isn't she?
She's tall also, yeah. And then in this section, there's just a little carpeted wood panel, and in this section I keep the air compressor, and then I've just got 3 ammunition-looking tins for kettle and cup of tea. There's some cookware in this one, and a bit of dry fruit and tins in this one.
Okay, let's just drag them out. Let's want to see how it comes out. Oh yeah, you just lift this a bit to come out, and then that way they're not moving around either. Yeah,
there's a lip here, so if you're really heavy duty off-road and rattling around, they're not going to fall back and rub up too much against the metal. Then you've got access to all your stuff.
Awesome.
If you keep it fairly well packed, you can fit quite a bit in there.
Yeah, I'm very impressed how you've used the space here. That's
again, wagon space is a premium.
Yeah.
And I still wanted to maintain the use of the seats.
I reckon there's a few people that'll get some ideas here. I mean, this is. How long did it take you to think this up?
We had the ideas thrown around for a few months, and then we actually made a cabinet with the dimensions that we thought would work, and it turned out it didn't, so we went back to the drawing board and redimensioned it and went for a second run.
Okay. So you bought the fridge specifically to fit in here and stuff like that?
No,
or?
I actually I've tried to reuse as much of the camping stuff that I already owned.
Okay.
Just to save for the cost of purchasing new stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And wanted to reuse this fridge, and so tried to modify or make a box that would accommodate that.
And you're able to keep this water container here with the tap on. That's pretty cool. So you can actually use it from there?
Yep, you can use it from here. Just got to remember to shut the lid again when you go to drive off. I've done that once before, and the back of the seat got a bit damp.
Yeah, I bet. How many kids? How big's your family?
I've got 3 sons.
3 sons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. 11, 9, 5 months.
Okay. All right, so we've got baby seats, all kinds of stuff in there.
Not at the moment, but there's room for the baby
there's
seat.
room coming. Awesome. Power unit here. So this is a, what is this, C-Tech charger?
C-Tech charger, 20 amps, and that takes charge from the front of the car and bumps it up to whatever it needs to be to charge the dual batteries which sit in this section here.
Oh, that's where your batteries are in here?
Batteries sit in there.
Okay.
Yep. To access that, this top panel hinges in the other direction, but you've got to drop the 3rd row seats to be able to do that.
Okay. Awesome.
Works well.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, just a little kitchenette.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind you normally tow, right?
Normally we tow, so you've got to step over the A-frame if you do. But I do use the vehicle quite a bit without any trailer as well.
Well, you've done 2 tag-alongs, right?
Yeah.
And you still managed to fit everything in.
Yep.
So.
And it still fits underneath the awning as well, so you're in the shade when you're in the kitchen.
Excellent. Interior time. Here we go. Now this is actually interior time take 2 because my other GoPro failed a little bit. So here we are again. Let's pretend it's the first time again.
Sure.
So what I want to mention is the interior on this vehicle is massive.
It's quite roomy.
Like, look at the space in between us here. It is massive. Just to give you an idea. Loads and loads of room. So in the back there, on the 3rd row of seats, you store a lot of stuff there too.
Just general camping stuff, and the second fridge, which you can turn it down and run as a freezer. I like running 2, gives a bit more flexibility.
Okay.
But a couple of camp chairs, camp gear, pillows, blankets, tent, that sort of stuff.
So essentially you're actually gaining more space, because if you knock those seats down, then you'd have to put a setup on top of it. That means you lose the usability of the 3rd row, and I reckon you'd have less space because you because you're separated 2. Like what we're looking at there is really packed in, right?
Yep, it's packed in pretty tight. Flexibility is the name of the game, especially when you're in a wagon. And
those back seats, heaps of room.
Heaps of room, empty at the moment, but they fill up pretty quick with 3 kids.
I reckon there's more room in this vehicle than there is in a 200 series Land Cruiser.
Right.
But
it's a comfortable space to be, and I like it. For the base model, it's quite nice.
You can see why the car's wide, eh?
Yeah.
All right, now on to, well, hang on, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So what have we got down here? We got, this we can go, you got a rear diff locker.
Factory diff lock, and all the dial and switches for the different settings for 4-wheel driving off-road. For high and 2-wheel drive on the fly, and then stop and go into neutral to get into full low.
Okay. This button here won't get used much, eh?
I have not used that yet, but one time at least I would love to.
So big high country, I'll take it.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
sometime. We'll
mountains. So you got downhill assist, traction control. Down here you got some switches behind.
Yep, I've took some time to install these switches. These 5 switches operate all the external lights for the vehicle. One switch for the bull bar spotlights, another switch for the
for roof lights. That's these two over behind the.
Yep, spotlights in the bull bar. This switch here is for the light bar on the roof rack.
Okay.
And then there's the
other external lights.
Rear lights, external lights, and a light strip once the awning is open on the side.
Okay. All right, it got pretty hot in here, so we've dropped the windows. Communications and your phone over there. Here, so you got your phone.
Phone. Just I use that for maps, mainly when you're driving on the highway and through towns, navigation.
And what's the other one?
And this unit here is a handheld Garmin, which I quite like because you can install on it real maps, so you can actually see what the terrain looks like. It's got colour in it.
Okay, that's excellent. So does that come standard with the Garmin?
No, it doesn't. It comes with a very basic rudimentary map, and then you've got to register online and use a computer to download maps from the internet.
Okay.
And then you can install maps, whatever you've downloaded from that to the unit.
That's a great idea. I might have to look at that.
It only takes a 32 gig memory stick in the back, and you can do. I've downloaded more or less the whole section of the southwest, and that's 32 gigs worth. Normal navigation. I use a HEMA map on a tablet, and it works excellent.
Communication, last thing.
Communication, just a basic unit and 80 channel CB radio.
Got it mounted here.
Mounted there.
Within reach.
And then I've cut the 12 volt supply to it and installed a pair of 12 volt sockets.
Okay.
Just for low amp draw.
Yeah.
One of them charges the handheld Garmin unit, the other one for charging the iPhone.
Okay, yeah.
It's just to try and eliminate cables running everywhere.
That's
keep
a good
it neat and tidy.
That is a good idea. And just take note what Daniel just said, low voltage. If you start pulling too many amps through there, then that's when you start cooking things.
Yeah, it'll blow.
Dash cam.
Just a bit of an insurance policy. But I also find that handy when you're on the single lane tracks out bush.
They're not waving back to us. There we go. There we go. Q&A time, I reckon.
Sounds good.
Q&A time. Whee! I knew that was going to happen. Cheers. This is Australian beer, by the way. So, you can stop hounding me about my Asahi. Asahi is still good. It's been good to finally have a Y62. They're so hard to find with stuff done to them. And you find that most of them, they go to one full drive shop and they're just kitted out with, they end up being a catalogue vehicle. So that's why they're hard to find newer vehicles. So I reckon what you got set up here is a nice balanced setup. You're not too heavy.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason.
Spent a lot of time thinking it through, asking questions, getting advice, and then coming up with what would suit best for what we use the vehicle 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the fundamentals of a good build, right?
Good build. And at the same time, it's something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Which was fine with me because I quite enjoy doing a bit of my own DIY.
Those are the mods that I like best as well to see, because it gives the audience so many ideas, and that's space you work with. Bloody hell.
Food for thought. Yeah, space is a
well
premium, and just try and fit as much as you can together and Tetris it in.
What are your top 3 mods you've done to this vehicle? Like your favourite 3 mods?
Probably tyres would be number 1. I was in the sand dunes near Coral Bay not long after the vehicle was purchased, and just snagged a front right tyre on a tree branch around a dune, and I was amazed at how thin the tyre sidewall was. So a decent set of tyres was probably my favourite one.
And those are the tyres that came with the vehicle?
Yep. Factory tyres were pretty ordinary.
Yep.
These tyres are excellent. Second favourite mod probably be the roof rack, just carrying capacity.
You need it with a wagon, don't you?
Need it with a wagon, you can't go without. My third favourite mod is probably the most recent one, and they're the mounts and the holders for the navigation and the phone on the inside of the car, rather than the cheap eBay ones or having it rattle around inside. It's nice to have it fixed.
And I hear that time and time again. Look, there's some mods you can go cheap on. There's some mods you can't go cheap on.
Buy once, cry once.
Yeah, and mounts you hold stuff with is usually one of them. So what brand are those mounts?
These are a Ram mount from America.
Ram, okay. What is the best thing about this vehicle and what is the worst thing?
I'll go with the best first. I love the engine. It's a stout little unit. I love sticking my boot in every now and again. It sounds fantastic, and you can't go wrong with the grunt of a V8. The worst thing about it probably follows on from that. If you really hammer it around, the fuel economy
Fuel consumption.
is pretty ordinary. So they're probably the best and the worst, and they're linked.
It's usually the delay, isn't it? So if I was to come to you and say to you, look, I've just bought a Y62, I watched your build and modified.
Yep.
What is your top bit of advice for me if I'm going to modify this vehicle?
Obviously, I think like with any four-wheel drive, plan ahead. Think about what it is that you're going to use the vehicle most for, and set up your modifications to accommodate that. For this vehicle, it was going to be used primarily for touring, and obviously carrying a bit of weight. The first modification I did for it was to add suspension to the rear end. The factory suspension was quite soft
For towing.
and it would sag a lot. So
Before or after towing?
at standard, the ride height was reasonable, fine, but as soon as you add some weight to the back end or on the tow bar, it would really sag down. And so the first modification for this vehicle was springs and suspension for the rear end.
What would you say is the most important part of your electrical setup? What is the most important part of it? Is it the solar panel, or is it the fact you've got two batteries?
Yeah, probably battery capacity. Nothing worse than being out bush and your batteries are starting to get a bit low.
Especially I know that one too well.
Especially if it comes time to pack up and head home, and the starter motor is not cranking over as confidently as it usually would. I'd probably go battery capacity.
Judging by your vehicle and judging how it's packed, everything's thought out. It seems to me that a lot of heavy items are kept low where you can keep them low. Obviously the tyre is going to have to go on the roof because there's nowhere else to put it.
Nowhere else to put it.
But then you don't have it at the back, causing a different issue.
Yep.
So what about a loading tip? You load your vehicle for the audience.
Yeah, load the vehicle. Considering the weight that's on the roof, the heavier items that are inside the vehicle, you try and load those, low as possible to counteract that. So I've got a recovery bag and a separate bag with all the tools, and I usually leave those in the footwell of the third row seat, nice and down low.
That is pretty low.
Yeah, and then the other camping gear that you pack in the vehicle, go lighter as you come higher. So your pillows and your sleeping gear would be up at the top.
One thing I didn't see, a table.
A table, yes. We often travel with a caravan. Don't need the table, it lives in there. But on the occasion that we've been able to get away with the fold-out table from the rear door.
On the rear door. So that's where all the cooking happens, unless if you don't bring a caravan, that's where all the cooking happens.
And then if, worst case scenario, eat on your lap.
Okay. Do you prefer camping like in swags? Because I know you use swags from the tag along, or do you prefer the caravan?
I love all sorts. I love getting outdoors is my favourite. So however that comes about, I really enjoy it. If we take the boat with us and we're coastal, we'll usually load the swags into it. If we are doing another sort of touring where all the kids are with us, or we're taking extra gear like scooters and push bikes, then we'll take the caravan. Obviously if I'm with my brothers and my dad and we're out bush on the motorbikes, then we'll take the motorbike trailer. So you just pack to accommodate for the type of trip that you're doing.
So you boat, motorbike trailer and caravan. So you got a lot of different styles of camping.
Styles of travelling.
Awesome.
Yep.
So what's your favourite trip you've done so far in this vehicle?
That would have to be the Holland track last year. I really enjoyed that. As a relative novice off-road and full driving, I found that as sort of lower to medium technicality off-roading, and that was a great learning experience and just a wonderful place to travel around. And that's given me the desire to go and travel out a lot further, and I'd love to do some more remote travelling as well.
Yeah, cool. So your favourite trip was the tag along with me?
Absolutely.
There you go, guys. Get on there. They sell out too quick anyway.
They do.
Has anything gone wrong with this vehicle at all? Anything?
To date, no. Nothing has gone wrong with it. Actually, no, I lie. The front left window sometimes will only go up halfway and then wind itself back down again. And to get it all the way up, you've got to notch it with the switch. Notch, 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 and then gets all the way up.
Ah,
It's some sort of electrical issue.
okay.
I've never bothered to look into it. It doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the vehicle has been fine.
Yeah, okay. One of those little things.
A
That's
little
like
glitch.
mine. My window drops out sometimes.
Right.
Not as bad as that, though. Thank you very much for bringing the...
Thanks for having me out here today.
Yeah, no worries. The Y62 out here. Awesome.
Loves
And
it in the
thanks
sand.
for taking the day off.
No
I'm
problems
sure I
at
didn't have to twist your arm to do that.
all. Not at all.
On the beach, a bit
Easy
windy.
to convince.
It's nice and warm.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. You can subscribe somewhere on the screen, and if you'd like to support the creation of videos like this and other ones, patreon.com/Ronnie Dale. All right.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
See ya.
See ya.
Awesome.